Hey y'all. I just finished recording my tea in a book post, which will go out later this week. But I figured that since I don't have a lot to talk about for the wrap up, I would go ahead and throw that together now. So today, hopefully, is January 3rd, 2021, and this is a weekly wrap up. The only thing that I think is substantial to talk about is that I went down to Hippocampal Books on South Ave. So I live in Rochester, New York, and we have one of the few Latinx owned bookstores across the country. It is a children's bookstore. And I've been in there lots of times, as you might imagine. And they have children's books primarily, of course, but they also have a lot of YA books and they have a small adult section. So the reason why I went in is because I am on the board of directors for the Rochester Teen Book Festival. And we are going all virtual this year for 2021 for the first time, I think, as most book festivals across the country. And we are hoping to have a bookstore partner with us for book sales during the festival. So I believe the festival is set for May 15th. Usually it's an all-day event that starts with an author parade and then a game of truth and dare for the authors. Yes, I said truth and dare because most of the authors do both or talk about both. And we usually have around 20 to 30 authors. This year we're set, I believe, for 30 authors again for this virtual event. So anyway, I went down to Hippocampal Books because I wanted them to hear about TBF, to consider sending in an application to partner with us. So I spent some time with Pamela and Henry, who are the owners, and they're lovely people. Like I said, I'd spoken with them before because I've been in there before, but it was great to get to spend a little bit of time with them and also see how they interact with the kids that come in. Henry used to be a teacher in the district, and so he has all of these kids who used to be his kindergarten students. And sometimes they come in and he makes a big ruckus about them being there, which is really cute. They also have a number of things geared towards teenagers, like a couple of volunteer programs and things like that. So I really love their bookstore and would advocate for anybody to go visit them or to check them out online and make some orders from them because they figured out shipping and all of that stuff. I also posted just a little walk around a couple of days ago as part of my 31 days of Kenya because I was running out of content for real. So that was super fun and a little bit worky and a little bit volunteery. So that was something I'm glad I got to do last week. And during that trip, I bought 6 books. I should probably do a haul video, but I probably won't do one because they're already kind of mingled into my newly organized TBR cart. So I spent some time doing that earlier today. I took down the tinsel from the card catalog and from the back of the sofa. And I took the tree down yesterday, but you can tell, I think that I left the Christmas lights up. I love Christmas lights. Do we even have to call them Christmas lights? You can't tell. Maybe you can. See up there? There are some lights at the top of my wall that have actually been there since 2013, I think. I put them there our first or second Halloween that we lived in this house, and I've never taken them down. I really shouldn't have shown them to you because they're covered in, 7 to 8 years worth of spider webs and dirt and disgustingness. But sometimes I still plug them in because I love lights in general. And I actually like Christmas lights a little bit better than I like fairy lights, although I have lots of fairy lights too that I could string up if I ever felt motivated to do that, which I haven't yet. I'm thinking about signing up for a virtual running club. So this is so stupid, y'all. It's Sesame Street. And you can sign up for either 100 miles or 500 miles. And depending on which one you sign up for, you get 6 different sets of coins. So I might actually have to sign up for both so that I can get all of the coins. Oh my gosh. Does that mean I have to run the 600 or I have to do the 600 miles, or can I just do like, I can double dip the first 100 miles? I don't know. But it's motivating enough to help me get the hell off the floor and move around some more. So I'm thinking about doing it. I think that the 5th is the last day you can sign up. So it's something like running to Sesame Street or something. Is anybody else doing any virtual, like, physical challenges for the year? Y'all, we got to do something, because if y'all are like me and have been slugging it up for the last 8 months, 10 months, then it would be good to move a little bit more. And if you get a Cookie Monster coin and a necklace, I mean, why not? Put the Christmas tree away. I said that already. Redid the TBR carts. I might do a tour of it, but I don't know. How interesting are cart tours and bookshelf tours and stuff to other people? I feel like it's mostly for my benefit when I do those, and that nobody's really that interested. My hair's doing its own thing today. These are not Christmas snowmen, obviously. It is still winter. So they're going to be up for a while. I love them. They are actually snowmen from a local tattoo artist who also, I don't know if he would say he's a tattoo artist who also does ceramics, because I actually think he's a ceramic artist and a sculptor who also does tattoos, but maybe he would identify as equal parts all of those things. His name's Jason Ferguson. He's a sweetheart. He decorated my face as a skull once during a Halloween party at a library. That's how I met him. And I've never spoken to him since that time, except electronically, to say, hey, I want some of those snowmen, or hey, I want some of those pumpkins. And he's a very nice guy. And actually, I tagged him in something, and somebody else responded to me, I know that guy, he is so nice. And I'm like, I know. And okay. So those are my snowmen. And thinking about what my TBR for the month will be, I have to read a couple of things for book clubs and stuff. But then what else is there? And you can see where my mind is just with these here, plus a couple of other things that are sitting right in my eyesight right there. I'm currently reading Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I did read the book, the first in the series that she wrote for the Rick Riordan Presents series. Really liked that. This one, it might count as YA, but it's feeling a little adult, actually. I'm not sure how old everyone is. It's at least new adult, if not just adult fantasy. So really enjoying that so far. And then, okay, the book to tell you about that I finished this week, or last week, is The City We Became. So The City We Became is the newest novel by N.K. Jemisin. And I felt like it was pretty different from the other things of hers that I've read. So I did read most recently in November the one about the Killing Moon. It was what it was called. Set in like Cairo or something. And it was very fantastical and felt more fantasy based. But still multi-dimensional. So maybe it's still a little bit sci-fi. The City We Became is about New York City coming to life, or coming into its own life. So the premise is that cities around the world historically, when they reach the certain point in their vibrancy, are birthed as having their own sense of who they are, I guess. Because it's not like they're birthed and then they get up and start walking around or anything. And there's a lot of like metaphor, like understanding it without really like thinking about it or thinking too closely about it. And I've seen a couple of people who are like, that was hard to get into. I really don't think I liked that. And I think that I can totally see that point of view. I think N.K. Jemisin is someone who you can't enter in any of her new worlds lightly. She requires some committedness because she sort of drops you in a world without a whole lot of fanfare or a whole lot of description. I feel like maybe I've said this before. Sorry if you've heard me rant about this before. And so you kind of have to be committed to sticking it out a little bit until it kind of starts to come together. And then sometimes it starts to come together and you're like, okay, I don't know why I'm here. I'm out. This one, I never had that. I never had that sense. I never had that, okay, maybe this isn't for me sense. Whereas there has been another book, I can't remember which one it was, where I was like, I'm not sure that this is worth working this hard for it. I did read I'm so tangential. I'm sorry. So New York City has reached that stage where it's being birthed. And when that happens, an avatar, a person encapsulates the city's sense of self, becomes the avatar of the city, and becomes its protector and its representation on like the city's councils and stuff. And so what happens for New York is that when it's birthed, it faces an opponent, someone who wants to take over instead. And the new avatar fights this person and kind of shuts down, goes into a coma, almost loses. And so it turns out that what's happening is that because New York City has 5 boroughs, each of those boroughs has sort of been birthed in their own right and have an avatar for each of those boroughs has been selected. And so those representations of the 5 boroughs have to find each other and figure out what the hell is going on. Because as you might imagine, if you wake up one day and are like, holy crap, I am Brooklyn, I represent all of Brooklyn, and there's a war happening between New York City and whatever the hell else this giant sea creature thing is that keeps showing up, you might freak out a little bit about that. And you might not want to talk to the person who is the Bronx, because the Bronx and Brooklyn have a thing. And so they all have to figure out their things. They go to Queens, Manhattan, and then apparently Staten Island's one of the boroughs. I always forget that, and the book references how everybody always forgets about Staten Island. They tend to be further removed because you have to take a different boat to get there. And I thought it was really interesting the way that they kind of talked a lot about sort of what does each borough bring to itself and to New York City. You know, what are those stereotypes as well as the history that comes together to create these entities that are part of this larger city. So I have frequented Manhattan. I won't say frequented. I've been to Manhattan several times, few times for work related things, and then also just, you know, for theater and things like that. And I don't love Manhattan. It's full of people. It's super loud. And it's hard to get in and out of, and, you know, it's not my favorite place in the world. But I also kind of like it too. You know, it's New York City. It's New York City, baby. You know, so I really like this book. Also, I live in New York, in Rochester. So that is approximately 7 and some change hours from New York City. So there are lots of other people in other states who have more affinity or closer tie So I don't think my appreciation for this book was because I live in New York State at all. Um, but the other thing, it references that when cities are on the verge of being birthed, sometimes they don't survive it for whatever reason. So it talked about Pompeii and um, Atlantis and um, New Orleans, because there was a hurricane that maybe was the reason. Because what happens is the city's about to be birthed, and then something will happen that stops it from becoming into its own, and then that sets the city back from the progress where it would have been making because of the thing that happened. And so maybe this bad thing that's happening in New York City has happened in other places, and that's what's caused some of these cities to fall. So I think I really liked the concept of it. I liked I don't know what the word is, the of it. But also the story's great. The characters are great. Um, Lots of art stuff, discussions of art and gentrification. Because the bad entity comes in and aligns itself with a white supremacist group. If you've been to New York City, you know that it's really just people from all over the place, and it's scary, I guess, if you're worried about the mingling of the races and ethnicities and cultures in general. Anyway, I'm raving about the book because I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the book. But I also recognize that it's not going to be for everyone. And I think everyone should read it and then come back here and drop your words in my comment section and tell me what you think. All right, people. Welcome to 2021. I'll see you on the next one.